Avoda zara daf mem beis under aleph, and we're starting from mem aleph from beis, the second line from the bottom. We learned the machlekes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish by Avoda zara that had broken into pieces. So Rabbi Yochanan says since he didn't verbally nullify it, so the din is that it's forbidden to have any pleasure out of it.
Verbally.
Yes, at least verbally.
What's that term? Nullify?
Huh?
What's that?
Mavatal.
Mavatal. So if he says mavatal,
Then it's batal. And Reish Lakish says that it's mutter, because he makes the cheshbon. Listen, if he couldn't save himself, he can't save me either. So it's just a practical svara that we're going to say why it's going to be mutter. So the Gemara says we have l'chayra raya from our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says that it's slumim, not something that was served as an idol, that the pieces are mutter, right? If it breaks, we said the pieces are mutter. So Avoda zara should have the same din. Rav Meir says slumim, we're concerned about those miyut, those few that serve all kinds of images. So we have to be concerned. Maybe these people serve these images, but if it breaks into pieces, it's mutter. So according to the Chachamim, also Shvat Meshivrei Tzlamim. He brought it down off in the Braisa. Okay, so over there it says that if it broke, so it says by Tzlamim it's mutter. So the Gemara says the same thing should be by Avoda zara, the second one from the bottom, very Safi. So the Gemara says, how could you compare? The Chachamim are talking about there's a Avoda he served the idols, and it's a suffix if he nullified it. By the case of Tzlamim, it's a suffix even if he served as idol. So Chatchila.
What if he forgets? He thinks he said it, but he forgets. Does he have to say it twice?
If he said it, that's enough. He was mavatal. Here we're talking about. Let's focus on the point here because the whole Gemara is on this. So the Gemara said over here there's a vadai by the case of Avoda zara. Chacham are saying only when the pieces are going to be asur, if he actually served it as we know for a fact, and then it's a suffix when it broke, if he nullified or not. If you have a doubt versus a sure thing, since in the past he served it as an idol, that's going to supersede. The vade supersedes. So yesterday we asked a question. We see suffix is mitzvah vade. Now he's going to ask again. In fact, the Gemara ain't suffix mitzvah vade. You're saying a suffix cannot override the vada. We learned in the Braisa. Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said, there was a story of a maid shalmatzik, of a strong man. A man, they were like a mafia. So it was a maiden of a mafionic, and she had a miscarriage. Jewish. She had a miscarriage, and she threw the baby into the pit. They threw them. She didn't want to go through the whole process of burial, even though he's supposed to. She placed it. Yeah, so she threw the navel into the pit. A kohen came afterwards, and he stood over the edge of the pit. And he checked out. Laid in the cave to know whether he's a zach or a cave. So others say that he was Amoritz. Others say he was the Talmud Chacham. What's get a Chacham gain? He makes an oil when he bends over the body. But we're not going to go into that right now. Yeah. So anyway, there's a debate about that. So right now he went and he bent over. Why did he bend over? To see if it's a male or female. What's the difference? The difference is for the woman to tell her, be able to tell her how many days does she have to stay tummy. If it was a male, it's 7 days and 33 days of Tara. If it was a female, then it would be 14 days of Tumah and 66 days of Tara. Doubles. So now we have a problem. Is he bent over? So now we want to talk about the kohen. Is the kohen tummy or not? It says the story. It says the Gemara.
What's the shaila on the kohen?
Because when the kohen bends over, it's oil. No, he makes oil over the navel, so he becomes tummy. Is he tummy? Is he tummy or not? The kohen.
Why would be a shaila?
Oh, so 1 second. The chacham said he's tired. Mipnei shechulda vadlis mitzvin sham, because a weasel or the badlis is either a leopard or a polecat came and took out the nafel. So by the time he bent over, there was nothing there. So it's a suffix. So what do we have a halach over here? The vadai tila nafel. For sure, we have a vadai that the shivcha put in the nafel, and it's a suffix garul, and it's a suffix if the badlis or if it was taken out by the weasel or the leopard. Suffix garul, it's suffix like garul. It's a suffix that was slept out or not. Because he suffix. What do we pass in Tari? We said the suffix overrides the vada. Even though it was a vada that she put the nafel, we rely on the suffix that it was taken out before the kain came to bend over. And that's why they said he's Tari. Because his suffix makes the vada. So you see,
how long was the navel there in the bird?
I mean, by the time they called the kain there, it took a little while. Of course, you don't need much for. They sniff it out in seconds.
Maybe it was already dissolved. You know,
No, we're talking about that.
Decomposed.
The Kohen came running to tell her. She obviously wanted to know how long she's tummy. Okay, so here you see the suffix overrides.
You said 7 days.
Right, no, so how many? She has to know if it's 7 or 14. So we're talking about she wanted to know right away. Says you want to loy tema. Do not say this price that we learned. Heitil nefel abar. Don't learn that it was a vade, that it was a nefel. Sometimes it could be a sack of ear. This fetus, you don't know for sure if there was a baby or not.
Placenta, maybe the placenta.
So fetus says you want to get nevel abar. Don't say for sure it was a baby in the sack. It looked like a navel. It looked like a miscarriage, a fetus with something in it. So therefore, so it's a suffix and a suffix. First, it's a suffix if it was a real navel, and it's a suffix if it was even there. In fact, how could you say it's a suffix if it was a sack of ear or a baby in it? It says in the Mishnah, in the Brais over there, or this in the story, Leida im zachim in the kevu katani. For sure, it was sure a baby. It's just he wanted to see whether it was a male or female. So you can't say it was a sack of ear. Says this is how you have to learn the pshat. Laid im ruach pilim. No, they pil. Number one, you want to know if it was a sack of ear or not, and if it was, and if you're going to want to say there was a baby in it, laid im zachim nekeva. You want to know if there was a nefel. You have to check out whether it was a zach or a nekeva.
What are the two statements?
So it's a suffix if it was a nefel, and it's a suffix if it's a suffix. No, it's for sure threw it in. But it's a suffix if it was a nafel.
Yeah, okay.
And it's a suffix if the badlist took it out before he came to the edge of the bird to check it out, because it wasn't there.
No,
So it's a suffix of suffix, and it's not a suffix of
What is
badai.
it? Suffix is himself in the cave. It's still what the crane couldn't tell, no?
It wasn't there when he came. He couldn't see.
The animal hit it.
He couldn't see it. If you want, I can tell you another answer. It's really avade and avade. Why? Avade, the shivcha put it there. But we'll say this, that the chulda and the badlis took it out. It's a vade, he took it out. In seconds, they sniff it. They're both a vade. Since the weasel and the leopard are frequently there around these bailes, vade geraru, for sure it slept it out. So the Gemara now, Rabbi Yochanan asked Akash and Reish Lakish, who says that
we don't know what
this is not a proof that the suffix overrides the vade from here.
Really,
A suffix cannot be based with vade. Either it's like so two vades. Perfect. In fact, the Gemara Rabbi Yochanan asked and Reish Lakish, who says that the pieces of the Avoda zara, Reish Lakish says it's mutter, right? The idol, if it broke on its own, Reish Lakish says you could have, you're allowed to sell it. Because if you couldn't save yourself, he makes that cheshbon. How can he save me? Not according to Reish Lakish. That's Rabbi Yochanan, who says you do have to, is asking on Reish Lakish, who says you don't have to. Nullify it. Yeah, where do we see that? It says if you found a form, a hand, or if you found a foot, you say you're not allowed to have enough from that foot or hand. Because similarly to this, they serve as idols. Why? According to Reish Lakish, you should be able to benefit from them because they're pieces. They're shvarim.
Should be the same. He says that on the mainland.
Huh?
It's muta.
Right. It's like so, but
It's
l'cheira,
Michael all the way.
right? So why is over here? Why do we say it's us by the hand and the foot?
Should be the same idea, like the with the
Regular pieces, you
yeah,
say.
like the zara broke down to pieces.
Right, so
The
this
same
should be
idea.
mutter, and here it says it's us.
The same idea.
Yeah, that's what he says. And for the Gemara, I'll take him on Shmuel already touched up, but only that the hand or the foot is sitting on a stand. So it looks like a chaysh v'zach, a hand or foot, whatever. So it looks like something that you serve as an idol. Yeah, okay. Eisvei. So the Rabbi Yochanan is takashta reishlokes from the following Mishnah. If the chacham mevatel, avidis chacham shaloi. A guy could be mevatel his own avodah zara through breaking it, and he also shal chaveira also of his chava. Let's say his chava has avodah zara. He doesn't serve that type of avodah zara. He has his chava has a psashma yonki look of a cheaper one, and he doesn't serve that. But he went and he broke it, so he could be mevatel it for his friend, even though his friend is the only one that serves it. He can nullify it for his friend by breaking it. Yeah, perfect. Yes, but you saw later mevatel. But a yid cannot be mevatel. A yid cannot go and break the idol of a guy and say it's batel for the guy. He cannot do it. Says the Gemara.
Why would he?
He's doing it. He wants to be able to then use the pieces to sell it. But as long as it's an idol, he cannot. He cannot. Why not? Let it have the same din as if the Avodah Zarah broke on its own. Yeah, and if he broke it, it's even more, it should have the same din at least that it broke on its own, and it's no Avodah Zarah. Abaya said, we're not talking about that he broke it. Shepichosa. He dented it. He gave it a knock. So Rashi says, huh? So Rashi explains, what does it mean, pichosa? If you look in Rashi says, okay, it says, in fact, first let's see. If he dented it, why won't it help to be mevatel it? Why not? We learned that if a goy dents his avodah zara himself, it's considered, even though he didn't break it in pieces. So by him denting it shows that he was mevatel it. So you want to that's only if the goy himself, who serves it, went and he made a smash in it and gave him a good dent. He knocked his nose in. But if a yid came, so the guy will say, my getchka doesn't care if he gets a little dent. He's not my God doesn't care for that. He can bang him around a little bit, but he's not broken.
Nice mentality.
Okay. So he's not mevatel. That's what Rashi said. Look, it's not similar. When it's broken, he'll say, hey, he couldn't save himself, he can't save me. The guy has a warped mind. He says, the idol doesn't care about its dent. The guy has a way of justifying everything. Okay, Rava says, really, if a yid does dent it, it's going to be batel. This that the Mishnah says that a yid cannot be mevatel, it really should be batel, is because of gzeira. What's the gzeira? Maybe the yid will pick up the avodah zara, and once he picks it up, he's kaina it, and then he's going to want to nullify it from avodah zara. Kaina, he acquired it, and then he's going to want to make it nullify. He wants to nullify it. Then it's too late. Once the yid has it as an idol, he has no way of nullifying it. There's no cover. There's no loopholes. He can never nullify it. So, and since once he makes, it's exactly of the Chachamim. If he dented it officially, while it's in the dishes of the guy, it should be a bittul. It's good. The only reason why it's not batel because of Xeda. He might pick it up first to be it for himself, and then he'll give it a zest.
If there's any value in it, there's any gold in it, whatever.
Who knows? Yeah.
So it's like a trick. It's something, some kind of subterfuge when they do that.
It-
They
it-
acquire
The rabbis
That-
are always full of stuff.
It's okay.
They-
Esrei, Rabbi Yochanan Esrei Shlakish had another question. A guy that brought stones from the Mekulis. The Mekulis was like, it was two stones this way, and it had a stone on top over here. So, and how would it was one stone on the top and two stones on the side. Huh?
Take the box and
Okay, like this.
Right.
That's how they would make it. Hoppa. And then, how would they serve it? They would throw stones on it. Avoda zara. So what
That
happened?
was an idol, Rabbi. That was an idol.
That was an idol. They had two
That's
stones with a
even today,
stone.
right?
Yeah, today they have the makolis. They do. So the guy took some of the. It's made out of a couple of stones. So they took from these stones, and he made a paveway, a highway, or a street between city to city. Mutaris, you're allowed to have enough. The soul shevi avad min hamakolis v'chip behem drachim. It's asuris. But if a yid want to make a paved way, he want to make himself a path with these stones from his house to the road. Let's say he want to make then it's asur. Amai. Let her have a din like Avoda zara that broke him. Huh?
Why would it be usher?
Because no,
Stone,
you,
they have those stones.
because it's from a idol, but it's taken apart. So
Can I
take.
nullify it?
Oh, so we want to say it should be nullified by taking it apart, and he made it into a road. So let it be nullified. So he says a Jew cannot nullify it. A guy could use it as a pavement for a road, not a Jew. Why? It says the Gemara, why not? Let it have a din like Avoda zara that fell apart on its own, and we say it's mutter. Says the Gemara. Kasha and Rishlakish says the Gemara Hachanami Kedei Rava. Here also we're going to say like Rava. What did Rava say? That what he say that we're afraid that he'll first check it out, like you said. Let me see if it's a good pavement. Let me pick it up.
Good
Okay.
stones, good stones.
So, this is a good stone. Let me use it. So he's clean it, and then he's gonna try to be mevatel. It's too late. So the Gemara say, the Gemara asked another question. Rabbi Yochanan asked another question. Reish Lakish. A guy that goes to the Avoda zara, and he wants to make it smooth. It's wood, made out of wood, but he wants to carve it out more smoothly. It should feel nicely.
Stone also, no?
Here we say Avoda chacham shaleitz. It says, okay, litzarkai. He did it for his own in order to use these small pieces, and he also wanted to beautify his Avoda zara.
Who would be it?
The guy. He v'shipuyeha mutar. So the Avoda zara and the pieces are mutabana once he, because he took it apart. He smoothed it out. He did it for beauty. V'shipuyeha, but he was like, it says he beautified it for himself. He made it as an ornament.
He didn't break it apart. He just made it different.
Whatever he did there, he did it for ornament. Nishtal Avoda zara, and the pieces is mutter also. He was mevatel Avoda zara. If he did it litzarka, if he did it for the Avoda zara itself to make it out of more chesh for Avoda zara, he asuda. Then for the goy's Avoda zara, you're not allowed to touch. It's Avoda zara still. V'shipuyeh mutarim, but those pieces that he carved and the pieces that came out are mutter. V'yisol shashipa avid zichavim bein letzarka bein letzacha. A yid.
This is if the guy did it.
That's if the guy did it. If the guy did it to turn this Avoda zara as his personal thing. So when he broke it into pieces, side the image, he did it for his own personal thing. He made it Avoda zara. It's mutter. If he wanted to keep it as Avoda zara to make it nice in the Avoda zara, so the Avoda zara bleibt Avoda zara, and the yid cannot have enough of it. But the pieces are mutter. By a yid went to the Avoda zara, and he started to. He wanted to make it either fancy for himself, or he wanted to take it for himself. Or no, he was going to use it.
He wanted to make the guy should have a nice
Or for the guy, or for himself. He's going to take it for himself and then pay the guy. But once he takes it, he's kind of it. So the problem is, he acquires it. So the problem is, whether it's for the guy's need, or let's say the guy, whether it's for the idol, everything is asa. Amai, why should it be asa? Why should it be asa when the Yid made it for his personal need, or for the guy's personal, or for his own personal need. To have it, let her have a din like Avid Zicham that broke into pieces on its own, and it's murder. Not the guy, it broke on its own.
Oh, it's not.
So if the Yid broke it, let her have at least a din like it broke on its own, it should all be mutter. And the Yid broke it for his own personal thing. Yes, Akasha Shlach. Why do we say tzasa? I'm thinking about Hachanam over here also because of the Gzeda. We're afraid he'll pick it up and he'll acquire it, and then he'll want to be mevatel it, and he can't. Right. Eisvei, the Gemara now, Rabbi Yechon is and Shlach is another shaila. Rabbi Yossi says im seichik, if he grinds the Avoda zara v'zel ruach, and he takes the dust and he throws it into the air, or he throws it into the sea. The Yid, first the guy. No, here it's talking about a Yid. A Yid took and grinded the Avoda zara, and he throws the dust into the sea or into the wind. Amru Lai, the Chacham say, Afi Nasa Zelal. This dust turns into fertilizer, and he's not allowed to have anah. It says by a city that served idols, you're not allowed to have any. Your hand shouldn't be attached to any of their stuff, anything because it has to do with Avoda zara. So you're not allowed to have what?
It's been transformed into something else.
Ir anidachas, nothing. It says your hand shouldn't be attached to whatsoever to the Avoda zara. Says Gemara Amai. Why should it be forbidden to have it? Let it have a din like Avid Zicham that fell and broke on its own, where Reish Lakish says it's mutter to have enough from those pieces. Let him be able to have enough from those pieces. And for the Gemara Hachanami over here too, it's like Rava of the Gzeda that he might acquire it first and then want to be mevatel it. So that's why they asked it. Rabbi Yechon asked another kasha on Rabbi Yechon. It's all similar questions. Rabbi Yosi ben Yasyon Oima Motzat Tzuras Draken. If he found a form, an image of a dragon, and the head of the dragon was cut off from its body, and it's a suffix who cut off the head of the dragon.
They used to worship dragons?
Yes, it's a suffix if the guy cut off the head of the dragon or the Yid. Mutter, it's mutba'ano. Invadi so chatachi. But if it's a sure thing that the Yid is the one that cut off the head from the dragon, also it's asmano.
Why is the suffix also?
Mutter. Suffix
Why is it mutter?
because it's a suffix.
But the dragon belongs to the guy. It was never a Yiddish dragon, so therefore
So
who would go cut off the head?
So that's why it's mutter, because it makes.
The guy that did it.
It's you're right. If
Maybe
it's,
it came off by itself.
that's true. But he's saying it here. He's saying it looks like it was cut off. No, we're talking about it was cut off.
It was severed.
But it was severed. But like Avi is saying, most probably it was the guys. Maybe he can't say most probably. It's a suffix who cut it off. So since it's a suffix, it's going to be mutter. But
Maybe
if
another dragon came in.
What would you be able to do with this dragon? What are the benefits? What could you?
he
do?
sells it. Sells it to
Severed
another.
dragon?
He breaks into pieces and he could do another form out of it. Who knows what he got? I don't want to think of what they.
It's like a gold or copper.
Yeah.
They're very creative.
Right.
They're very creative.
Make money.
Maybe the gold itself, it's made out of gold and has the gold today is very high.
It is.
Okay.
As golden teeth.
Avada yisol chatachay, but if it's a sure thing that the guy severed the head, also it's forbidden to derive any benefit. In fact, you want to amai, why is it forbidden? To heavy kavi the let it have a din like an idol that had broken its own. And in the Rabbi Yishlaki says an idol that broke on its own is nullified, and you're allowed to have anah. Says here also we're afraid that the Jew might acquire it and then try to be battle it.
Why did they
He
just
wasn't there. How would he know why
The dragon was one of the Avodah Zaras that were very chashin in those days.
really? Wow.
Yes. Snakes also.
Snakes.
Snakes also. Yeah.
Yeah, they work.
So the Gemara asked a question. Rabbi Yechon asked on Reish Lakish from the following Mishnah. It says there's a concept of a tree that's called an asher that they would serve a tree as an idol.
They would.
They will
bow down to
a tree, and that tree is called a Asherah. So over there, Rabbi Yossi, is it permissible to plant vegetables under the Asherah tree? Rabbi Yossi, Af lo yirakiz b'meisak shamim mepnei shanavoya. You cannot have hana from those vegetables that's under the Asherah tree, the leaves of the tree, because mepnei shanavoya because the leaves of that tree falls on it and turns into fertilizer and helps those vegetables grow. So the vegetables are growing from an idol. So you're not allowed to have a nut.
What if the family's starving? You need that.
Okay. Amai says, why should it be forbidden to have if those leaves fell off the tree? It should be considered as Avoda Zara fell apart on its own.
Exactly.
And it should be mutter.
But it's not.
It's not. Shiny Hasam, why? Because the because the tree is intact. It's fully, the main part of the Avoda Zara is there. So that's why the leaves that fall off is really still part of the Avoda Zara. Says the Gemara, now the Gemara is going to ask very similar. But you said when he carves out the Avoda Zara, the pieces, the Ikavitz Chacham Kayemes, the main part of the Avoda Zara is there when he carves out and he smoothens out. So you say the pieces he can use. Why? If the main part of the Avoda Zara is still existing, so how could he use the pieces? It should be like the Asherah tree. V'katani litzarka he asura v'shipiyah mutara. But you learn the pieces that you take off the Avoda Zara's mutter, and by the Asherah, the leaves that come off the Avoda Zara, you say it's also. That's the Braisa. He's asking now on the Braisa. Everybody holds it. That's why it's a kasha and Lakish. It should be considered as a Avoda Zara that broke on its own. It should be mutter.
But it's not. So
it's not.
What's
So,
the interpretation?
so why is there a difference by Asherah? You say it's asa, and by the leaves is different than when you're taking off pieces. So as here it's not going to be bottled because this is the way it grows. The tree grows and the branches fall off. This is the normal thing. So that's not considered. It's breaking on. It's not. It didn't fall apart. That's the way it grows. Here he comes and he's cutting off pieces. That's different. This is but the part of that, if it falls off the way it's growing and it's natural the way that it falls off, that's not considered as it fell apart. Yeah, that's how it is on itself. Correct. I should say that. Yes. Now it's going to be the reverse. Turning the tables around. Reish Lakish says if Avoda Zara breaks on its own, he says the pieces are mutter. Why? Because if the Avoda Zara couldn't save itself, it's going to save him. It's not going to save him. Rabbi Yochanan says no, he has to verbally nullify it. So now we're going to ask on Rabbi Yochanan. It says Kan shall Hegdish, if there was a nest of birds on the top of a tree that belonged to Hegdish. Hegdish means that it was set aside. This tree, the tree, yeah, was set aside. Hegdish means to for the Beis Hamikdash, for the sanctuary. They used it for whatever the need that they needed it for, and it's holy. And there was a nest of birds on top of the tree. It says you can't derive any benefit from the nest, but if you do, you're not over on the dim me'ilah. Me'ilah means there's a separate isur. I don't know how to say it in English, but a separate prohibition for a person to derive benefit from something that's holy, and it's called me'ilah. It says that isur that when he benefits, yeah, it's b'shegeg. He has to pay kermechemesh. So he's me'ilah. It's called me'ilah.
That means a prohibition.
What?
Does that mean a
prohibition? You have to bring. You also have to bring Asham Me'ilas and Akenem Mechemesh. You have to do all three. Asham, a carbon, a sacrifice, and you have to pay the principal plus a fifth. So he says over here, there's no din of Me'ilah. We'll soon understand. And then it says, but you're not allowed to have enough from it. You're not allowed to derive benefit. If the nest was on the top of a tree that they served as idols. You remember I said before, there were people that idol worship, they worship the trees.
Birds fall.
And that tree is called an Asherah, that he could take with a stick and knock off the nest from the top of the tree.
That's acceptable?
That's acceptable. It says Kizal Kadat, and Gemara thinks now that Kigoin Sheshavra Mimeno. It's talking about that the nest took pieces off the Asherah tree, made it into a nest. So now you have a nest from pieces of the Asherah tree, because they broke it off. And we say if it's broken pieces from Avoda zara, you're allowed to have a no. So it comes out like Reish Lakish. According to Rabbi Yochanan, you have to verbally nullify it. So how could you use the nest? If the nests were made, the birds took off. How did they make a nest? They take pieces of
They
branches.
weave it together.
Yeah, but they take the branches off the tree. Off which tree? They took it off the tree that they served as idols. So according to Reish Lakish, it makes sense. It's a broken tree, so you're allowed to use the nest because it's broken pieces. So the Asherah is broken. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, it should be forbidden. But Ukatani, Yatis Bekana, we say you can take off you can knock it off with a stick and take it. And if you want to Chachmaya skin here, it's talking about it's talking about that the nest was made from pieces that the birds that had broken off branches from a different tree, not from the tree of the Asherah, the Kinsaba, and that's how they made its nest. Daikanami, I'll bring you proof that they broke off pieces from another tree. The Ketana that we learned, Gabe Hegdish, Loy Nanim Loy Mayelin. By Hegdish we said he cannot derive benefit from the nest, but there's no Dina Be'ila. Dina Be'ila, there's no prohibition that you desecrated an oiva.
Use for your own purpose.
So he says you're not going to be chai from Ila. If you're going to say they brought branches from another tree, so then it makes sense that there's no din meila. Loy nanim midrabanan. The whole hana that you're not allowed to have hana is only midrabanan at takanas chachamim. But loy meilin, there's no din meila midaraisa. The loy kadisha because it wasn't really hegdish. But if you're going to say that the nest was made out of the tree that belonged to hegdish, and the birds made a nest out of it, why shouldn't I have a din of meila? It's hegdish. All these branches that made the nest comes from a hegdish tree. Hakadishi, it's hegdish. So there should be a isa meila. Is a raya that the reason why the Mishnah said there's no din meila because the nest was made from branches of another tree. And the same thing we'll say with with the Asherah tree. It says you want to meet there here. Yeah, is this Taina? You could say that the Mishnah is even talking about the branches came from that same tree. Here we're talking about that he made this tree as is hegdish or as is Asherah tree. Once it grows, that part wasn't part of the Avoda zara. The new growth is a new, has nothing to do with Avoda zara, nothing to do with
You
hegdish.
have a tree, half Avoda zara, half not.
Correct. Yeah. It says that the cart was able to make half the shul cry when he davened, half the shul laugh. Because when he was singing Kol Nidr, he was pulling down his pants and he was in the middle of the shul. Okay, so you know Rabbi Avo. Rabbi Avo, Omar, B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan. Yeah. Oh, okay, Rabbi Avo, Omar, B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Avo had said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, what is the Piddush Yatis? That he takes a stick and he knocks it off. So he says, you don't have to say he's knocking off the nest. Yatis Befrechen. He's taking the little birds, I don't know what they call it, pigeons or even smaller chicks. There's even a smaller word than chicks, it's called, whatever. Okay. I'll explain you. By pigeons that he's trying to take off, side by a tree of hegdish, side by a sheria, mutar is permissible. But if you're talking about the eggs itself, side by hegdish, side by the sheria, it's also. Ravashi, why? Ravashi says, what is considered? First of all, bayim have to come onto the tree. Since the eggs need the bases of the tree,
They need a nest.
Even if there's no nest and it's sitting on the tree, it needs the tree as a base. So since it needs the tree as a base, so therefore it's going to be asur. So the Gemara wants to know, what about pigeons? Up to what level is it? That does it need a tree or not? Those pigeons that need to come onto the mother are considered as part of the tree. They have a din like the eggs that they need the tree, and therefore it's going to be yasa. But if it doesn't need the mother, so it doesn't need the tree, so the tree is not part of the ingredient for these birds. So therefore it's going to be mutter.
Incubation.
Right. It's if it needs the tree, it's like incubation. Yeah. We learned in the Mishnah, the next Mishnah, one who finds kalim, and on the kalim there is the form of the sun, moon, or dragon. He has to bring it to the Yam HaMelech and throw it there. Why in the Yam HaMelech? Because nobody's going down to the bottom of the Yam HaMelech. You can't. Nobody goes there. Nobody tries to attempt to go to the bottom of the Yam HaMelech.
They can't go down anyways.
Because you stay up. Yeah. Only if it's on Cheshva Kalim, distinguished Kalim, these forms of the sun, the moon, and the dragon is on the Kalim that are very special, only those are forbidden to have anah. But on common Kalim, or if on the toilet you have an image of a sun or moon, no, you're not serving it as an idol. It's a toilet. So should we say only to these, to the sun, the moon, and the dragon? That's what they serve. But they don't serve any others. What do you mean? I'll ask you a question. Somebody who shechts a balchai lishum harim for the sar, who the malach who's in charge of the mountains, or the shum gvais of the hills, lishum yamim of the seas, lishum leharis, or for the rivers, lishum midbar, for the desert, lishum chama, for the sun, lishum levana, lishum lekaychavim, for the stars, mazalis, and constellations, l'shem mechol shal sar gadol, or l'shum mechol, who's for the big malach, l'shum shil shul katan, is representing the small creatures, the malach for the small creatures. That's a worm, shilshul. These behemoths that he shechted for these things is considered as shechting for mason, because a getchke hat nicht geleben, hat nicht gechayes. Is that therefore it's considered zivchei mason.
Mason.
Zivchei mason means sacrifice for the dead, because idol has no life, so therefore we call it sacrifices to the dead. Okay, Abaya said niflach. Niflach benegeya to serving. Lechol the mishkachi poche. They serve as idol anything. Meitza umiflichi, but to form kalim, you're right. Serving, they serve everything, not just the sun, moon, and the dragon. But to make a form and serve it, says you want 100 tuasi, the chashivi, tzaidalahu, pochlu. These three, the sun, the moon, and the dragon, when they form it into, make an image of it and serve it, only these three, after they form it, they serve it. The sun, moon, and the dragon. Not on it, but not for other things. What they make, if they made like other stuff, mountains or stars or whatever, waterfalls or birds, they're only making it for the beauty, not for to serve as an idol. Rav Sheshes gathered all the hard brises, and one of the hard brises, in order to elucidate them, to make it understood, and also to sharpen the boys, to get them to learn. So he gathered all the hard brises. Amongst them was Kol HaMazolis Mutarim, all constellations are mutar, chutz mimazal chama ulvana, except for the sun and the moon. Chol HaPartzufim, Mazolis is the highest level. Now your partzuf, all faces, mutarim chutz mipartzav adam, except for the face of a person. Chol HaTzureis, mutaris chutz mitzures drakein. Here we're talking about that the face and the body, it's part of the body, the face. So that's why it's called Tzureis. Obama, the Tana said, Kol HaMazolis mutarin chutz mishal mazal chama ulvana, except for the muzzle of the sun and the moon.
All the planets or all the stars?
If you want to, he's explaining. So over here, what are we talking about? If you're talking about that, he's creating it. He's creating a form of a sun, a moon, right, or the sun, or the stars. If you're saying that he's forming it, then Kol HaMazolis Mishari. All the mazolis is it then mutter? Why are you saying only the sun and the moon? It says Lo Sasun Iti Elokei Kesef Elokei Zav. Don't make any gods that serve me. Lo Sasun Gitmush Hamashay Hamishams Lefanim B'Amarim, which includes everything: the stars, the moon. It's not just the moon, the sun and the moon. It says only if it's self-understood. We're talking about a person who finds a kli with one of these images on it. So only if it's the sun and the moon and the dragon, then it's forbidden to have anah. Not like we learned in the Mishnah. If somebody finds a keli with these images, then it's going to be these three are asur. You're right. If you form it yourself, any type is going to be asur. Says you want to eat if you're saying he found it. Look what it says in the middle part of this brisa. It says all faces are mutter except for the parts of Adam. Even Maitza, if it's talking about that he found it, parts of Adam Yasa is the face of a person formed on a keli going to be Aser. But now we learned in the Mishnah. Only these three you have to get rid of. No parts of a person. Parts of Adam lay. But the picture of Trump is not going to be Aser if it's on a cup. Pshita, only for sure, we're talking about Be'isa. When we said only Biden, yeah. Pshita Be'isa. Only it's self-understood that we're talking about that he formed it. And you're sure that a parts of a person you cannot make a form because a person is B'Tselem Elokim, and therefore the Torah says a special Isur that being that a person was created with B'Tselem Elokim, there's a special Isur to make a form of a face of a person.